Well, good evening, folks. I hope you're well. Yeah, we're looking at Sunday. I have to keep checking. Seems one day often drifts into another for me. Anyway, thank you for the kind comments and the support, and welcome back, old, new subscribers. Really do appreciate you coming back, and thumbs ups are really appreciated. Ask anyone, and yeah, if you have comments to make, please do make them. It's encouraging. And if you want to have a talk or me to talk about particular subjects, you might give me some ideas and I'll try and put my spin on it or what I think about it too, as though you're interested. You never know. Sometimes misery loves company. Anyway, thank you once again. And I hope you're looking forward to work tomorrow. Um, I was up early this morning because my wife and I take it in turns to get up early with the yapping dogs because our dogs are like an alarm clock. They tend to go off at about 6 with regularity. It's one of those, well, it's actually, I have a Shih Tzu. My wife has Cavaliers. But it's actually my Shih Tzu who's at fault because rather strange, but automatically come winter, summer, rain or shine, 6 o'clock in the morning, a little bark from downstairs. That's all, one little bark. And you can hear a pin drop in our house. And at most times, but particularly 6 o'clock in the morning. And I think, oh, my first thoughts are being woken by a, as you can hear it. Whose turn is it to get up? Click, click, click. And I suddenly realised, crap, her indoors got up yesterday, it's my turn today. So up I got, 6 o'clock. Went down, and naturally the Shih Tzu had woken the whole team up, and I was surrounded by 5 dogs, all being waggy-tailed and happy to see me at 6 o'clock in the morning. Hey ho, there we go. Anyway, they're still a delight. But I could murder the little Shih Tzu sometimes because she's the only one who does this. If she didn't, yap. And it's a yap that's like, well, and I think, did I just hear something? Because I'm a pretty light sleeper. And I thought, oh, and about a minute, oh no, I'll go back to sleep. Just about to get back to sleep because I'm in the safe zone. Perhaps it was a mistake. And then I hear it again, yap. And she's timing it to perfection, the cow. I know they're all females, our dogs. And I should say, my harem of bitches. But yeah, okay. And I get downstairs and I could murder her, but I can't help it because her little tail's going and she's happy to see me and she melts me every time. Anyway, I can have a lie-in in the morning. Thank goodness. And it's not my turn to get up early. 6 o'clock is ridiculously early for me. Anyway, being semi-retired. So, I'll hope to get this video done, and I hope that you get a lie-in too. While I was up watching the internet, I come across a panorama program. It used to be a TV program, but it's transposed onto the internet now. So rather than watch the telly, which I don't do generally, I watch this panorama program about the British benefit system. Yes, those of you, or those unfortunate few, those lucky few who don't have a job, have to throw themselves on the social benefits in order to survive. And first part of the program was people struggling in the winter to pay their gas and electric bills, let alone their food bill. And it's diabolical what the government deem fit that human beings can survive a week on the wages they get. Some of these unfortunate people who are receiving benefits, well, quite frankly, you couldn't feed a cat. And they have to resort now to, a lot of people do have to resort a lot to go into food banks, which is, well, when I do my shopping in Tesco's, there's a big box that says food banks. You know, you can chuck some extra food from my trolley into the food banks, and that food is distributed throughout the needy to the needy, such as people on benefits or single parent moms, and anyone really who goes to uh, the welfare and says, can I go to the food bank? And there's a food bank available to a lot of people now. And I'm quite happy to do that. You never know, you see. A couple of tins of beans or a couple of loaves of bread, always gratefully received. But my heart goes out to them, these people, because they're in a trap. They truly are. But not only that, is that if they're finding it hard to have enough money to buy the basics, milk, bread, eggs, sugar, meat, you know, the proteins, and this, can you imagine? It's bad enough being unemployed for a long period of time and thinking this is all they've got left in the future. A lot of these people are quite young and vulnerable, and some of them are old and vulnerable, and there's quite a spectrum of people. And I was astonished because, well, I didn't know it was that bad, quite frankly. It's bad enough then, people, because what the governments have done to our society, of course, they've turned our industry, our country in the industry that used to employ people, into a nation of shopkeepers. Okay, multi-stores, the big names, and our high streets have got all the big names, but there's no little stores anymore apart from the typical sort of Pakistani corner shops and paper shops and these sort of things. And they all employ their own family anyway, so there's very little employment in that for anyone. But there's no manufacturing anymore, very little. So naturally, the people who are probably, you know, unskilled or 40 plus now are put on the scrap heap to fend for themselves. There's no, you know, now the benefit system used to be reasonably fair, but now the government have changed their tack. They've actually made it so untenable and difficult and tough for people to be on benefits. They hope by doing that, it forces people to just stop signing on and find any bloody job. Because this is the logic of the government. Okay? And when you look at the gas and electric costs, certainly in winter, that people have to pay, and a lot of the people are in a state of penury because they have to feed a hole in the wall to get their gas and electric. And a lot of these people obviously live in substandard housing, which is poorly insulated. It's bloody freezing. And lots and lots and lots of people, probably 80 to 100 a day, die because of the cold, of various ages, particularly the vulnerable elderly and those who are living alone and absolutely are freezing. And they either have a choice. They either eat or they have to pay their heating. Well, if they buy food, they have to cook it, so they have to use their electric. So, you know, these are all the fundamental basics of life, is cooking and eating and gathering food and being warm. And the people that are finding it particularly difficult now, my heart goes out to them, are the people who, through no fault of their own, majority of the time, end up on the scrap heap at 40 because there's no jobs apart from shop assistants, shelf stackers, delivery boys and girls, and menial bloody jobs. Because the millennials fill the middle bit now. But if they're getting benefits because of their health-related problems, and there are many reasons why people are unfit to go to work, are unemployable, they have to, and they can get some extra benefit for being unfit for work, and they'll get a reduction in these sort of bills, like gas and electric and whatever, and heating allowance, etc., or disability allowances, or other benefits they could get because they simply cannot function in a work environment. Well, first of all, in order to qualify that, they have to go for medical by trained clinical people. But instead of just having a doctor do this testing, they employ all sorts of auxiliary nursing types to government produce a tick list, and if the patient or unemployed bum scrounging bastard that they seem to think they are, well, lift your leg up. Yep, bit more. Yep, you can do that one. Your right leg. Yep, lift your head up. Can you move your arms? Have you got a pulse? Can you speak? Can you stand on one leg? Have you got the balance? Can you pick up an empty cardboard box and move it from one side to the other? Empty cardboard box. I mean, what job entails an empty cardboard box movement? Unless you happen to be working in Amazon, of course, shelf stacking. Or Tesco's, you know, this is the way it is. It's got nothing to do with the guy that you, on the list, it doesn't say that you might have raging cardiac problems and raging angina attacks, unstable angina, and it doesn't tell them that you've got emphysema and can't walk 3 yards without gasping for your very life. No, of course not. No, it isn't on the government tick sheet to see if you're a shirker or a worker. No. You could be on death's door. But if you can be vertical and you can walk 5 paces, you can work. What a mentality of these people. And many people don't get this extra benefit because they apparently are fit to go to work. But okay, they're fit to go to work in the government's eyes, but there's no jobs for them to go to. And stuck in a freezing cold house, surrounded by maybe a couple of kids and a wife, or vice versa, or a husband who's unfit. The woman has to be a carer for her husband because district nurses have been cut back and the community idiots come around once a month to dress the dressings. The whole thing stinks, and it's for a measly increase in your base benefits. It's to get this, and they stopped this. They call it now universal credit. But if you've been signing off sick, they want to know why you've been signed off. Talk about the Gestapo and the Nazis. We are turning so rapidly into a fascist dictatorship, and their government are getting away with this. And yet there's suicides, there's deaths, people are freezing to death in bloody shithouses, substandard housing. The housing benefits are being cut back. They are penalised for being unfit for being at work. And it's not generally the people's fault that there's no jobs. It's the government's fault for what they've done. They've turned us from a fantastic manufacturing country. We had steel production, car production, fantastic engineering, motorbike production. We led the world in so many ways, and what have they done? What have they done? And I just think, oh, you know, it's so sad. And some people have been forced to return to work, have died on the job because of the illness they expected. They told them that they were sick. It's a bit like looking at a cartoon I saw a few weeks back of a headstone, and it said, "I told you I was ill." And I thought, yeah, so true. So many people are having to go to work even though they're on death's door for menial jobs just for this pittance. And that's what it is, a pittance. It's the same amount these folks get in a month that an MP gets for his bloody lunch allowance and his entertainment allowance for lobbyists. It makes me want to throw up. Anyway. But they've got no money, you see, the government. They've run out. Britain is bankrupt, the same as America. We just don't admit it. But what amazes me is that we can always find the money to go to war. Oh, yes, we can. We pay our NATO membership when others don't. We send our troops to places getting involved. It's got naff all to do with Britain at all. We support other countries in their endeavours, and we provide a service to the yada, yada, yada. Well, oh, we've got the money to do that then, but not to give people a proper working allowance or unemployment benefit allowances. Okay, so we got the war fund that must remain full all the time, and of course we don't want people clogging up the hospitals because the NHS is broke, you know. there's not enough. I have to shut the wards. There's not enough nurses, staff. They're on, they're not getting sufficient wages. Nurses are leaving by the gallon. There's leaks. They can't recruit them enough. They have to get them in from other countries where they can barely string an English syllable together. And they go onto the wards and they don't understand the lingo or the medical terms. And we tried an influx of Thai and Asian nurses before we flooded in 10 years ago. They were only just starting to get a hint of what English is about. And supposed to be filling in all these forms, and these are the foreign nurses and from all over the place, including the foreign doctors. No disrespect, but here's the deal. If it wasn't for the foreign doctors in Europe, who can't seem to be able to come here to work, but we can take them from further afield, can't we? Yes. But why can't the European doctors who are looking for jobs come here? Oh, no. It's got to be further afield, if you get my meaning. Our ethnic brethren are pouring over, because these are the ones that we seem to want, because they're trilingual. Yes, because there's many languages spoken in our NHS, and we spend a fortune on interpreters. We got the money for that then. Oh yes, we got the money to that, but the NHS is broke. But look at the waiting lists. Well, the waiting lists are clogged up by people who've never paid into their system for their new hips, new knees, shoulder replacements. Never once do they mention female sterilisation or vasectomies on these people. Forget that. That's not even on the list of wish lists for these people. No, the maternity wards are clogged at the gills. And only 2 out of every 8 births happen to be white, Caucasian, British people in this country. 2 out of 8. Do the maths. 2 out of 8 births, normal births and caesarean sections in our country, are white, British, Caucasians. Yes, white, British. Not foreign. That means 6 out of 8 are foreign immigrants. Did I say immigrants? Asylum seekers or / invaders. Increasing the army. Give it 15 years, those babies will be regular fighting forces to be dealt with on the streets with machetes and knives. Trust me on this. Okay, and I have personally had dealings where I've told such men waiting for their wives to push the sprog out. Where's the father? Oh, he's at home minding the other 4 children. I'll phone and tell him the results of the caesarean section. Hello? Yes. So as if yes, it's a girl, and they hang up. Don't even say thank you. Don't want to know. But if I said it was a boy, we'd be having a chat. Oh, he'd be delighted. He'd be whooping down the phone. No, the moment they find out it's a girl, they don't want to know. And I feel desperately sorry for their wives. 1 of 4. Moving swiftly on before my channel gets banned. We've got people who are absolutely committing suicide. They're freezing to death in their homes. They're starving. They're having to justify their very existence, despite paying into the NHS for the last 30 years of their working bloody lives. They have to now kowtow and do these silly little tests to see if they can stand on one leg before they get universal credit or an excuse, and they get extra health sickness benefits, which they're fully entitled to under national insurance, which they've paid for the last 20 odd 30 years. And it's a joke, isn't it? Is ever likely that depression is massive now? More people off work with depression, and suicide rates are going up. It's ever likely, because we're having to pass and tick these little boxes off some arsehole's tick sheet before we get anything that we've paid into. And there's no choice about this. Payment's mandatory, of course. Oh, talk about Great Britain. Just look at the legal system. For goodness sake, the British legal system's a world-standing joke. The courts are a joke. They're overrun. The barristers are on the take. Angels are on the take. They truly are. And this is the way that society is going. we're going down the route of America with the litigation now. It's like, hit me, I need the money. You can just see the stickers on the cars. They need the whiplash money, and there's actually people out there who make a professional living out of pulling their car in front of you and slamming their brake on, and you hit them up the ass quite, you weren't expecting it. And there's four of them get out the car holding their necks, all four of them that cut you up and slam their brakes on. Oh yeah, don't be too surprised if another car hits you up the ass as well, because they often overtake you and they're working in two cars. Okay, the front car pulls in front of you, the back car pulls behind you. The one in the front slams his brakes on you, hit him, and the one behind smashes into you. Couldn't stop, mate, as four out of the back and four out the front get out, holding their damaged wrists or their broken noses because they didn't have the belts on. Yeah, and the damage to the cars. And it's a complete bloody Mad Max world coming into the UK now. It's a joke. We have cities and towns and villages in this country that are absolutely no white honky go areas. No way. No way. Bradford is officially now the #1 town for these folk. And it's just a matter of time, as Billy Joel says. We're going like America, and America is bad enough. Just looking at their prison system now, ours is getting so sick, our society, and you want to know about Great Britain's future. Turn it in, why don't you? Before we all go around committing suicide and getting depressed about all the above of what I've just mentioned, I want you to have a think about what I'm going to say. If you think you're in a wicked, wicked world and I've painted a really bad picture of the United Kingdom, I hope not too bad, because hey-ho, you're still listening to me and I'm still kicking, and you can hear me and I can speak. We at least have a certain degree of free speech post-Google. But I want you to look. You might have your ailments. I've got my ailments. I've had 3 near-death experiences down to my ailments, I can tell you. And I'm still kicking. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for every heartbeat and every breath. And despite this, it is still a wonderful, beautiful world that we live in and live upon. The flat one, by the way. And I want to tell you how great you are. I just want you to look in the mirror. And you might have tough times, folks, with what I've been talking about. You might be a victim of that yourself, no matter what country you're in, Great Britain or not. It could be an Ireland or Scotland or Wales. It really doesn't matter to me, because if you're a human being and you're on my video, you can understand what I'm saying with a bit of luck. But I want to tell you how great and fabulous you truly are. You are. You truly are magnificent. I don't care what people say about you. I don't care what skin color, religion, creed, but I honestly don't care. I'm very humanitarian like this. Okay, there's always going to be a nigger in the woodpile, or it's a bad phrase really, isn't it? Just sort of slipped out. There's always going to be negativity in the world. It's like that. I mean, think yourself lucky you don't live in the Victorian times when they used to shove kids up chimneys or have people down the pit. I often think about, if I'm having a pity party about so woe is me, that thank Christ I don't have to get up at 4 in the morning or 3 in the morning like an airline pilot captain to head a flight off to a long haul. Get up at 3 in order to get out and get in the cockpit for 5:30 to do an hour and a half flight planning, and do that 3 or 4 times that week, and then get back exhausted on a measly bloody wage when you work out the number of hours and the stress. I'm amazed that people become airline pilots. It's such a glamorous / definitely not job as airline pilots. They get paid per flight log hours logged. This is what most airlines will do, and they get almost every time they fly, they get paid. They get flying pay, and that's it. And it's okay. It's a young man's game, but not a job. Everybody thinks jobs are glamorous. Personally speaking, a job stands for just over broke. That's the way I see a job. And there's no difference between a job and a career. And imagine having a job where even if you're an airline pilot or or somebody who's driving a bus or has a public service where they're wholly responsible for safety of passengers, etc. What about if you were poorly and your income depended on your health to a degree, and you have to have annual medicals, very strict ones, and you could lose your livelihood just in the blink of an eye? Talk about living under stress. No, I'm so glad, you see, that I live in this world at this time. And as I said, if you go back to the Elephant Man times of John Treves and Dr. John Treves and John Merrick was the Elephant Man in the Victorian times, true story, when they were still cutting people up using bare hands without washing and wondering why wounds were getting infected and people died of septicemia and infected wounds. We have indeed, despite what I've been saying, come a long, long way, but the governments are wrecking it. They are smashing what we've invested the last 300-400 years in now like a wrecking ball, just like they're doing in America. They are bastardizing the established countries out there in the vain hope that they will be able to homogenize the lot and make us all the same and become a communist world order. That's what it's going to be, with a central dictatorship in the top of the pyramid with complete control of those under it. Well, that's after your and my time, I assure you, because they're a bit behind schedule, thank Christ. But as I said, if you can hear me and understand me and you're listening to your computer and doing what you're doing while you're listening to me as some sort of headset, great. But I want you to tell you how fantastic I think you truly are. What do I mean by that? I mean, I don't really know you. I don't know you. It's nothing to do with your circumstance. The fact is that you're a human being should be sufficient to give you hope. You could have been a toad. You know, the odds of you being a human are phenomenal when you consider the number of life beings out there that you could have been. You could have been a slug. You know, you could have been a snail. You could have been a worm. But you're a human being. And don't let anybody take that away from you. And you are priceless. And if you don't think that, how much do you want for your sight? I'll buy your sight off you. How much do you want for your eyes? Sell me your eyes. You would say, get lost. Quite rightly. I couldn't give you enough money for your eyeballs. Okay, then I want your legs. Give me your legs. I just want to cut your legs off. How much do you want? I couldn't give you enough money, could I, really? You see, you get to a point where the money isn't the issue, is it? It's not. It's how you value things, and everybody seems to value things with pounds, shillings and pence or dollars. Show me the money. But I can show you a couple of million quid, but you wouldn't sell me your eyes, would you? You wouldn't sell me your lung if I needed a lung or a spleen. Okay, I'll have a kidney. Oh, I want both kidneys, which means you're going to be stuck on a machine. Give me both kidneys and I'll give you $1 million per kidney. You, right now. You could be a millionaire overnight. I'll have your kidneys though. But you say get lost. Quite rightly. You see how much you're worth. And don't have pity parties about yourself. And, because, hey, tomorrow's another day. Where there's life, there's hope. You just never know what's around the corner. This is the wonderful thing about life. Is that last week you thought it was the end, but now you're still here. You're still listening to me jabber on. We're still, entertaining you. You're still okay. You still got your marbles because you can understand me. And you can, I hope I entertain you a slightest bit. I hope. you know. But there's nothing quite as spectacular as a human being on this planet. We are the most advanced species on the planet, without a doubt. Other creatures can do things we can't, but look what we can do and have done. But the worry I have is, what have we got the potential to do? We are wrecking our world. And I'm glad I'm not going to be around to witness it. But as for you and me, aren't we super duper special, you and I? Oh, we truly are. I mean, could you ever think, now, I'm not a religious sort of person. I'm very spiritual, but I don't think we were here by accident. And I also think that Chinese people and black-skinned people and Caucasian people, the three skin colours, if you like, possibly more, but, the purebreds, the Chinese, Japanese, Asian and Negro and Caucasian. Oh, well, let's think. What about the Eskimos? What about the Maoris? Okay. And what about those in Australia? The Aborigines? Yeah, okay. So we've got 5 then. Let's have a look at 5 groups of humans. And we all got different characteristics, but fundamentally, we've all got 2 kidneys and a bladder and 2 legs, 2 arms, 2 eyes. The human, but we are individual types. And I think that this world was populated from 5 different areas. We didn't evolve into one another. We were always white, Caucasian. And it's got nothing to do with Darwinian theory. That was a complete fabrication and a lie to get us our minds off the scent. We were genetically engineered. And we were imported, these 5 groups, if you like, from other areas off this flat plain, out of the borders of the Antarctic seawall. That's all. We were brought in to populate like a breeding colonies. White people, black people, Negro people, Japanese. I mean, it does take a bit of skill to do the old Chinese. What land did they come from? Where did they suddenly appear from? Where did Negroes suddenly appear from? They are so different to white people. No disrespect. Bigger, thicker skulls. Certainly bigger lips, black curly hair, yada yada yada. Japanese and Chinese. No, it's not because they're the only ones who have seen an atomic bomb go off. Oh, what the hell was that? Bright lights. No, they didn't do that. They had squinty eyes before we let the atom bomb go off in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Oh, what was that? And buck teeth, yes. Oh. Joke over. I'll get hung for that one. That's why they have squint eyes and buck teeth. Have you ever seen an atom bomb go off? I don't think so. Well, but here's the common denominator. If Shakespeare said, "If you prick me, do I not bleed?" It wasn't Shakespeare. I think it was it not Shylock in The Merchant of Venice? You spit on my gabardine. Yeah, if I slice you with a razor blade, Japanese, Chinese, the other races, the other 5, we all bleed. We all have 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, a mouth and a tongue, 2 ears. We're all the same. The fundamentals are all there. The basic equipment's all there. But have you ever wondered when you've cut yourself, quick, get a tissue and you hold it down, hope it's not an artery. And eventually stops bleeding. And then maybe if you're lucky, it'll scab over. Have you ever thought about the mechanics of a clot? I know lots of clots. But let's look at the sheer majesty of what's going on when you slice yourself by accident, maybe just a cut with a knife. Not across the wrists, please don't. But maybe you've cut yourself in the kitchen. Oh, crap. Or cut yourself shaving. Now, it looks such a minor thing to cut, self-shaving, no matter what you're doing. Eventually, if you put pressure on it, it'll stop, and hopefully, this happens to be your throat. But what is actually going on? Well, the body's taken over. It's taken the repair seriously. But the moment the skin, and there's all over your body, of course, you can cut yourself anyway and you'll still bleed. And unless you cut your fingernails off at the tips. Yeah, because they are tissue, by the way. You just haven't got any nerves in them. Or blood supply. That's why your nails are like that. You can cut them without hurting yourself and your hair. But if you cut yourself on the skin, you cause skin damage and you cut through micro vessels. That's a big problem for us because our skin is the biggest organ of the body, of course, and it protects us from bugs coming in. It's waterproof, etc., etc., etc. But before you say that you're useless and you can't do anything and you're having a bit of a pity party, I want to realise how great thou art, really. How absolutely fabulous you are. And I cannot buy you. There's not enough money on the world to buy you from you. There truly isn't. So you are priceless. And you're probably the most valuable asset of this world. Human beings. And I'm going to tell you just one little example about how fantastic your design is. Providing that you can see and don't need glasses all the time, but if you look at something on the wall like a picture, you don't even have to think it. Providing you've got 20/20 vision and you don't need glasses, you see a picture, it's almost instantly you look at it, it's in focus. Then you turn your attention to something else and it's in focus before you even really appreciate what you're looking at. It's in focus. It's so quick. But have you worked out how our body knows that we want my bottle of aftershave to come into focus because I look at it over there? Or I look at my jacket over there on the wall, on the hanger? Or I look at my pair of shoes over there, instantly at focus, at focus, at focus, at focus. And I don't have to give it a second's thought. What is the mechanism that tells my lens of my eye to be fatter or thinner to accommodate the focus and get the focal plane right back on my retina so it's in focus? How fast that happens without you. But it is you. Because we have two people inside us. We have two people inside us. Me, myself, and I. But I'm too stupid to run the show. Me. I'm too stupid, me. But I isn't. So we have two parts to our brain. We have the conscious and the subconscious. And this is the subconscious that gets involved with so much we can't do and won't do and haven't got the ability to do. But half of us has the ability to do it. The dominant half in our brain does this. And there's some control mechanism we really don't understand that runs the show called you. And I'll tell you, some of these shows can be quite complex. I'll give you an example. We mentioned earlier on cutting the skin. Oh, crap. Hold up, pen, a bit of tissue. But what is going on? Firstly, the fact is that the moment you slice yourself open, blood appears as if by magic because you've cut the little capillaries on the surface of the skin, haven't you? Hopefully that's all you've cut. But even then, there's call to action by your body. Instantly knows it's been damaged. One, it hurts. That's an alarm. And the other one is there's a chemical message going on. Instantly. Okay, there's a release of chemicals, like a chemical cascade starts to happen. Like the ticking of a bomb is about to explode. Because the moment you damage yourself, there's an explosion of activity. And with blood, there's two systems. There's a system that deals with blood clotting inside and one on the outside of the layers of the skin. Okay, and there, one is the outside lot are called the extrinsic type, and then you have the internal scaffolding called the intrinsic, inside type. So you have two teams immediately called into action. The intrinsic gang, worker bees, and the extrinsic worker bees that are working on the outside, because a clot is built from the bottom and moves towards the top. And there's these little things called factors, okay, interact, a bit like two-part glue. And there's lots, it's not just two-part glue, folks. It's many, many, many components in a blood clot. And they all get coordinated, and there has to be a leader. And those leaders are called factors, and they decide who goes where, what, when, and why, and how much. You haven't decided this. It's too important to leave to us, plebs. Our body takes over on autopilot. See how fabulous you are. And we have a meshwork. First of all, before a blood clot can be formed and create a plug and plug all those bleeding vessels, not only do they plug them and stop them leaking, they rebuild. There's a rebuild process to start the repair instantly. Instantly. You just don't know it. Some people repair themselves quickly, and some people repair themselves slowly, depending on age and blood conditions. Some people have blood clotting disorders. They're missing components, missing a few team members, but it is extremely complex, is a blood clotting process. So you have the outside team are busy putting the scaffolding up on the top. They instantly know what to do. But here's the deal. Where do they know where the damage is? You could do a sneaky and bend down and cut your toe just to see. Instant. You can cut yourself on the nose. Instant. Blood. You could have 5 or 6 clots going on, so there's 5 or 6 workloads needed, workers, groups, worker gangs. You see, you can be pepper sprayed by a 12-ball gun and have 7 or 6 dots all over you. You can get, if you survive. And there's 7 or 8 dots, 12 or 24 dots that need repairing because the skin's been broken. And it's all happening without you. But it is you. That's the magic. Okay, so without getting into the biochemistry of how to make a blood clot, which is complex enough, I've seen a blood clot formation myself under an electron microscope in real time, and it is better than Star Wars, what's going on. But the question on my mind is, who designed us? Who designed human beings' blood? Because our blood isn't just red and white blood cells, folks. There's so much more to it. The study of hematology is very, very complex. We have people in our health system, don't we, who specialise on the retina. They specialise on the back of the eye, the front of the eye, the muscles of the eye, the drainages of the eye. We have specialists who do the ear. We have to have specialists because every part of you is worth $1 billion and more. And you're not going to let some creep mess around and try, because no matter how careful we try to reproduce human beings or repair them, we never quite get it back to the original. Never. Very close, often, but never quite to what nature did. Nature. Whatever nature is. So how great thou art. You truly are. And if you're conscious and you've got your marbles and you sit there and you're not working, you're depressed and you're cold and you're hungry, hey ho, life could be worse, you know. It truly could. Many, many people have to live with disability. I was having a pity party on a train once on the way to London. We stopped at Milton Keynes. I looked out the window. I was having a bit of a whingy, crappy day. And I saw a guy who was basically a torso with a thalidomide arms, very short arms, bless him. And he could just reach to a little stick to control a joystick. He didn't have any legs. He was like his body was just no limbs apart from two little stumps called his arms and his head, and he looked perfectly nice on his head, well coiffed. And he was whizzing around on his little 4x4x4 in his little wheelchair. And I thought, here I am moaning because I've got to go and do this today. And I'm moaning that I have a difficult bloody life. And some things are peeing me off royally and then put it into perspective. Look at him. He's just getting on with it, with what cards that life has dealt with him, the poor sod, because his mother took a bloody contraception pill called thalidomide, and he's stuck like Davros the Dalek, a brain on a wheelchair. That's what he amounts to. But he's got a job, he's got his laptop there, he's obviously come across some insurmountable things that maybe we couldn't get over, but he's had to. And I'll tell you something, where there's a will, there's a way. And I think that guy must have fantastic willpower to do what he's doing at rush hour on a train, getting a train in his little wheelchair. He was just a head and a body with a little stumpy arm. And I thought, I felt sick to my core that I was having a pity party and had for suffering. Cheered me up seeing him. I didn't mean that he gave me cheer, but he made me put my life into perspective. I thought, just be bloody grateful that I'm okay, got all the functioning bits, and I've got more than him. Yet he's happier than me? What has he got? What has he got? He's got no bloody choice. He's just getting on with it. And stop having a pity party about woe is me. Isn't that just a fine example? My hats, I've got more respect for that man in that wheelchair with his conditions and his problems than I have about the most self-opinionated, up his own arse politician deciding on whether people are fit enough to go to work or not because he's with the Labour, Liberal, Democrat. Politicians, don't get me started. How very dare they decide on what the general populace can do and are fit to do? Who decides, you see? Who polices the police? That's what I want to know. Who guards the guards? Who polices the police? Who made them the boss? Well, we did. We did. And yet we, you and I, and our brethren, are so magnificent. We allow ourselves to be enslaved into armies, navies, air forces, wars, old man's wars, and we have to pay with young man's blood. Nothing changes, does it? It really makes me puke. The fact is, until we wake up and stop warring and start jawing and talk, and realise that every man, Jack and one of us is equal to the other, regardless of skin colour, age, race, religion. Religion's a man-made construct designed to control the world population. Okay, that's all it is. There is no man up there in the imaginary world keeping an eye on your every bloody move. There truly isn't an imaginary friend called Jesus or God. But we do have a creator. We must have something so magnificent. We are so arrogant that we think we can get it. We do get it. It's not. Whatever created life on this earth is so beyond our imagination. People say, it was a big bang and we all came off this big explosion after the singlet First it was singlets, then it was the big bang, bang, and here we are. Johnny's home, here I am. It doesn't work like that, folks. We are version 6 of human beings. They got it wrong. We've blown each other off the face of the earth 6 times and had to be replenished by people who made us. People who are so advanced. We are only human because we think we're being told that we're human. This is the stupid thing. You're a man if you're watching this, and I'm a man and you're a man. You're a man because someone said your label is a man. You're a woman because someone has labelled you a woman. Somebody labels us human. Who? Somewhere, you don't give me the Adam and Eve shit. Sorry. It just doesn't work. Because God made this. God made little green apples. Did he really? Special God. He'd been a very busy little boy. Girl, it, whatever. You see, we didn't crawl out of the primordial soup in like a slug coming from the water into... No. The world we live on was genetically genetically populated and manufactured. And we, human beings, folks, I'm telling you, in my humble opinion, we are unique. Unique, I think, to this solar system. And I don't think that we haven't a prayer of ever grasping, and we will never be told the truth even if they knew it. Because we are just manufactured. We're manufactured just like every other living thing on this world. None of us, and no living thing on this world, was a freak accident. Bacteria just didn't happen. Viruses don't just happen. Crows, doves, falcons, elephants, they were all designed and made. We just don't understand why. And oh dear, just because we can't understand why, we have to put it in the don't know box. Because we don't. Because to be honest, we're a fraction away of being cavemen. That's all. And I'll tell you why. If you lose fossil fuels, I won't call them fossil fuels. If we lose petrol and oil and we don't go alternative energy, it won't be long. You see, if the petrol pumps run dry in America for 3 days, there's going to be a war. If the shops will be empty, there'll be no delivery lorries into the shops. They'll be fighting, there'll be skirmish, there'll be civil war in America within a week if the petrol stops and the food doesn't get in. They'll be eating each other's dogs, they'll be killing each other for each other's food supplies and stores, because not all of them are preppers. This is true. We're all a week away from a civil war, depending on the environment we live in. Some countries are currently in a civil war because of poverty. Just keep your eye on South Africa. They'll be killing each other. Tribe on tribe killing. It's just a matter of time. But who invented the human? When you look at how magnificent the structure of a bird is, it's got hollow bones to make it light. It's got feathers. And if you ever looked at a feather under a microscope, truly closely, and worked out, have you developed and figured out whether it's the chicken or the egg yet? Come on. We've got so much on our minds to find out. There's more that we don't know than what we know. We haven't even scratched the scratch of the scratch of the scratch of the scratch. But here you are, listening to me. In order to process what I'm saying, you have to have a fantastic brain. Otherwise, you'd think, who's that idiot? Well, you probably think that anyway. But doesn't it fill you with joy that you're here right now listening to me talk to you, in the sense that you have the ability to process that information, maybe find it funny, sad, happy, whatever. But realize also that you are worth more than money could pay. You are worth more than the money on this world. And when was your soul put in? Because that's the whole idea of having a body. It is simply a transport vehicle for your soul, so you can experience touch, taste, pain, laughter, joy, happiness, sadness. This is an experience for your soul. And the human body will give you all those experiences if you are a soul in residence. And when you die, your soul will move on to another dimension. And maybe, just maybe, you need to experience what it's like to fly without the aid of an aeroplane. So you may wish, maybe you have a choice to come back as a bird. I certainly wouldn't come back as a human being. Not really. And it begs the question, doesn't it? Are we the advanced ones? Or is it the animals that have been there, got the t-shirt, and don't want to be human again? Wow. Often I've wanted to go and live on an island, like the Galapagos Islands, and be a Robinson Crusoe, because I am sick and tired of being sick and tired of the whingers who don't appreciate what they have, where they are, what they've got on their hands, and they have the temerity to complain when they are better off than so many other people, in a job or not. Because there's plenty of people in intensive care, there's plenty of people in comas, there's plenty of people like that chap at Milton Keynes making the best of what he's got. How very dare you and me have a pity party when you and me are so magnificent. Let us not let us not forget how magnificent you are, because something somewhere out there chose your body vehicle to experience this dimension. So let us all put up and shut up and get on and make the best of what we have and enjoy our time, because it can be snuffed out in a lack of a heartbeat, or a speeding bullet, or a passing car. And that is why it's important to tell those that you're surrounded by that you love them every time you say goodbye, to go out and separate. And tell the people you love that you love them. Don't just think it. Don't just say it, flippantly. Say it and mean it. It's not a silly thing to say, boys out there and girls out there, that you love your mum and dad and you love your sister and your brothers. But you'll find when you say, I love you, mate, people go, oh. But say it and mean it. Because we're here to learn to love one another, folks. And when we've sussed that out then, and I can love other people, I can perhaps love me a bit more. You've got to be it and become it before you can share it. And you are magnificent. So stop having a pity party. Pull yourself up by your bootlaces if you have to. And realize that there is always, always, always someone or something worse off than you, no matter what your situation. And smile, and the world will smile with you. Catch you tomorrow, and Try not to have too many pity parties. The time of partying is finished, and now we have to invest in our souls. Help others to help yourself.